hello, and welcome back to the channel. And everyone, look who I have! I have a Crit Award nominee, GM Justin, here with me today, and I'm super excited. Guys, it was an amazing award ceremony last night. So much fun to watch. So I decided that we should have all these people on. I don't know that's ever going to happen, but we could try. Welcome, Justin. Thank you for being on the channel. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. Thank you for having me on the channel. Like I said, it is I'm at a loss for words whenever anybody asks like, "Hey, do you want to come sit down and chat with me on my channel?" So it's like little old me, like, what? I didn't do anything. I'm just a little guy.
You're a Crit Award nominee. What do you mean? I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, I can't even. So, I have a bunch of questions to ask you. I'm super excited, chat, as always. And I didn't update Stream Element, so it may not pop up. But as always, if you want to ask any questions, please use your channel points. It's about 50 channel points. It'll go in the queue. I can keep track of it. So are my mods, if they're in here. If they're in here. And you'll be able to ask questions at the end of the chat. So, I need to know what came first, TTRPG for me? Were you just kind of like streaming on TikTok? What was the whole? How did that happen?
Initially, everything kind of started off with streaming first. Back then, it was prior to COVID, where I was streaming like just video gameplay
Mm-hmm.
on my channel, and then slowly like once the pandemic hit, I had a lot of time going on.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I,
Happens to
that's when I
everybody.
started getting yeah, that's when I got into content creation, and then next thing I know, I being asked to be a performer on streams, and well, it's been a fast couple years to say
Oh
the least.
wow, that is amazing. Um, so weirdly enough, like it's not really weird, but it's weird to me that TTRP is such a niche um, thing. Like, why did you use like why did you choose that as a social media outlet? Because it could be anything. Like, there's so many other content creators who do so many different things, travel or art or acting or whatever. They do so many different things. Why TTRPGs and specifically why Dungeons and Dragons?
because it uh, because it was the thing that I knew. I started out being as a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons. I
Mm-hmm.
did a little bit here and there over time with different systems, but it wasn't until the OGL deal where I like really branched out. But
Right, right.
it, this was something that I knew. This was something I felt like I could intelligently have a conversation about,
Mm-hmm.
and also help people with getting into the hobby, because we can always stand to have more people playing games, running
Yes,
games.
yes. That's a basically thing. But um, it's still one of those things that is kind of like very very small. Like people tend to like discover it either by accident or because they're locked away in their house for months on end
Mhm.
because disease. But how why didn't you branch out from that as opposed to just sticking with the Dungeons and Dragons or TTRPGs in general?
um, because I've this is a home. This is TTRPGs, and being an actual play performer is like a home for me. It's something that I know how to do. It is I know significant amount of people within the space. Even though we are a tiny community, we're still also a pretty big community as well.
I know we
And
are. Yeah.
so there's never to me, and I know like I could probably branch out to other things, but
Mm-hmm.
I know how to do this.
Right.
This is this is normal. This is right. This is comfortable for me, and I. This is something that I want to do. This is something that what get a joy out of doing.
Okay. Oh, wow. I love that. That's so sweet. Um, you are like all over. I see you all over TikTok. Like you are not just your own channel, but also like a bunch of other different channels. But you're also on Instagram. You're not really here on Twitch much, but you're like I've seen you a couple times on Twitter. It's Twitter, not X. Twitter. And as well as Threads.
Yep.
How do you think these communities are different from each other within the TTRPG community space? Because when you go to TikTok, it
Mhm.
can be contentious, but when you come to like I don't know Instagram or Twitch, it's much more seemingly loving. I guess. How do these communities differ from each other for you?
Ooh, that's a actually a really interesting question. So I guess it's it's whatever drives the algorithm to get the views that you want. Because what I learned from TikTok, because that was the first place that I had started out with, you were doing whatever you needed to do as far as like the performances. Like if you were
Mm-hmm.
doing skits, if you're doing education, whatever you focused on, like that got you the views. But eventually, with the algorithm would start not necessarily start, but it would always reward the clicks and everything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't hard for controversies to pop up,
Mm-hmm.
and boom, a lot of people, like, you were spread throughout the just out of the TTRPG space and into like mainstream, um what is it, TikTok.
Yeah.
And people would learn, like, who you would like see your content, like what the hell is going on, because more than likely it was related to some sort of controversy that was
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
Somebody said something, somebody made a stance was that's that made a bad stance, had a bad take on something, and then you got people engaged, and obviously with the algorithm rewarding the clicks, the likes,
Right.
the commenting of what was going on. They may have never played a game before, but they were still commenting on it, and it drove that in. So I think the that's just what I've seen. That's just what I've
Mm-hmm.
observed. I do pick up the different vibes between all of
Yeah.
the different spaces. Like Threads being the most welcoming out of all of them, though. Sometimes it does feel like it's more shouting out into the void
Yes.
than you would get at other places. But it's still, I'd rather take a welcoming, a place where I can, I can say what I can say something, and my community will see it, will hear it. I may not get conversation from it, but I'm okay with that because, well, I'm just, yeah, I'm just gonna say what I think.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I love that. I'm just gonna say what I think. So not many people know that you can be like a TTRPG performer. Like this is not like a career choice that you get in high school. You don't go to your council, your high school council and go, I want to be a TTRPG performer. How do I do that? Like, how did you like find this? Other than like I know people kind of found you, but how did you realize that this was an actual thing that you can do? I guess for a living.
I would have to say it started off with the rise of the influencer,
Mm,
and wanting to see what I can do with a hobby that I enjoy doing,
right.
and then seeing the success, obviously, with like Critical Role, Dimension 20.
Mm,
I became very vested to see, like, what can I do to potentially break into that. And
right.
then it came into me, um you know uh putting myself out there, like, hey, I am a content creator,
Mm,
um and if there's any casting calls, I'm more than happy to fill those out. And then what was it, it was Amber, who goes by the Amber the Space Chamber,
yes.
on their socials, took a risk on me and was like, hey, I want to invite you over to this game. And it's just been, I haven't stopped playing since.
So, are you an actor by trade? Like, where did you train to become an actor?
Oh, no, 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 no. I the most amount of acting I've done was all in high school, with like drama class, a
Mm.
couple musicals here and there. But then afterwards, I chose the career field that I did, and this has kind of brought me back into the arts. And I have to say, like, I've missed it so much.
Oh, that's I love that. Like it's like I missed you. Thank you for bringing me back here. So as TTRPGs are niche, so is specifically Dungeons and Dragons. Like I know it's the bigger of the
Yeah.
TTRPGs, the TTRPG, but it is still something that people are like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Oh yeah.
Like when you tell them like I am an actual performer in Dungeons and Dragons, people are like, "What is what?" You know, so
Yeah.
they kind of go, what is that?" Um, how did you discover like how did you become like know about Dungeons and Dragons? Like, was it something that you learned when you were young? Was it something that you learned as the pandemic started happening? How did
hmm
Dungeons and Dragons come into your life?
Growing up, there was no real representation when it came to D&D.
Yeah.
And if there was, it was more done in a derogatory sense.
Yeah.
So, I want to say it was in 2019. I was on a work trip, and during that work trip, I happened to walk by and see a couple of my coworkers that were playing D&D, and so I sat down. I asked them what they were doing,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of explained things for me. I was like, "Hey, do you guys mind?" Because I didn't have anything else going on. Do you guys mind if I sit down and watch you? I'm kind of curious now, and so they did. And it was cool being able to sit down at a table, have them explain everything that they had going, that they were doing, why they were doing it, how they were doing it. And after that session, I asked if I could join their group. It was only the five of them to include the DM,
Oh
so
wow.
they welcomed me in, and I made a character sheet. I started talking with the GM, as well as a couple of the other folks from the group, and then I started playing.
Oh, that's awesome. See, that's so cool. I love that. Like you just walk by, like TTRPG people are just like the coolest people. Just like,
Yeah,
sure, come on in. You want to watch? Come watch. You want to make a character? Come make a character. That'll be fine. Um,
exactly.
it's great. I love it. So you recently, congratulations by the way, but you recently were cast in Roll D5. Who
Yes.
that is such a cool thing. Does that mean like so your tag everywhere is Forever GM? So does that mean you're no longer Forever GM? Forever GM, and also congratulations. How did that happen?
It's just a moniker that I've kept since I started making content creation. I think at this point I'm more playing than I am
Yeah.
GMing, and I'm eternally grateful for that. As far as like being a part of, like being a team member of a Roll D5,
Mm-hmm.
they had thrown up that they were looking to add on to their team. So I had already played with on over at Philly by Night,
Mm-hmm.
who is ran who the storyteller is a crit award winner,
Yeah.
Aaron
Yeah.
Melandri.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, I I knew on from that. I knew Mika because me and him reached out. We were talking, and I actually ran a two-part Call of Cthulhu series over on their channel before I even became a team member. So whenever that came up, I was like, all right, these are people I know. They're super cool. I'm gonna go ahead and throw mine in, and we did the interview process. I had met Julie, who is on the team as
Mm-hmm.
well, while I was over at PAX last year. So
Okay.
seeing them and being able to have a conversation with everybody on the team was a good time. And sure enough, by the end of it, it was like, okay, well, welcome you in. So at this point, it's less. It's not that I'm not GMing anymore, or it's
Mm-hmm.
not that I'm playing more. I feel like I'm learning more skills beyond that, like
Right.
being able to tech and being able to see how I can improve my skills in that manner. Because you know, you can have you. There are significantly more players than there are GMs,
Yeah.
and but there are people there aren't enough techs, there aren't enough producers out there. So
Exactly. Exactly.
I'd rather learn how to tech and also provide something else to the team and see if I can help out in that manner. So I just jumped right into it. God bless Shadow, who immediately brought me in, sat down with me, and taught me just about everything that I know. Some of it I did know because,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I had done streaming before, but there was a lot of new things that she had showed me that I didn't know, and I'm grateful for it. So
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So how did it feel when you got that call when they were like, "You're gonna be part of Real D5. Come join our cast." Like, what was that call like?
it was exciting just because like it's a group, it's a great it's a great group to be a part of, and they're amazing folks. I look forward to playing and chatting with them and just seeing what all we can get into, planning in advance for a lot of the streams, a lot of the games.
Mm-hmm.
um it's 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 a fun time.
I
It puts
know.
me at a loss for words, honestly.
That's so sweet. That's adorable. Well, you're you're part of Roll D5, but you do a lot of games. Like I mean, a lot. Like Castleton,
Yeah.
Twisted Fates. You're on North Wolf's channel as well. Bunch of other channels, a bunch of other games. How do you keep up with every single? First of all, did I miss any? Because I know there's much more. I just named two. How
Uh,
many more are you in, and how do you keep up with them?
Yes, that's my answer. Yes. No, as far as like there because there are a lot of people that reach out to me, and majority of the time I will say yes. I will
Mm-hmm.
find the time and day to be able to sit down and get a game going. In fact, shout out to Eric over at Somebody Else's Heroes for um reached out to me after like during Castleton because they're starting up their what is it, their podcast. And honestly, like I said, majority of the time I can como se dice, I can find time to be able to play, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because I have an amazing partner, my wife Jessica, who keeps me in line with our schedule,
I
not just
love that.
from yeah, not just from work, but also our home life too. Because like you said, there are a lot of games I'm a part of, and scheduling and work life balance is a must.
I love that. So, I guess that told my volume was a little low. Is that a little bit better, Maddie? Let me know, please. As per always, if something doesn't go wrong on this stream, that means, ow, that's really loud in my ear.
Oh,
That
geez.
means that it's not a great stream. So now that we've had our issues, we should be good. I
Yes.
hope that's better. Oh, I just missed. Oh, whatever, it's fine. Anyway, um, but so other than first of all, Castleton is huge. Castleton is
Oh
like
my God. Yes.
so many players. Um, I am continuously impressed by watching it. But other than Castleton and Twisted Fates, um, what are you currently in right now?
Uh, Currently in right now, besides those, I'm also we're about to wrap up over at Rediscovery RPG a 4-part Call of Cthulhu game that is called You're Invited,
Oh,
and um the whole premise is that of like Saul, where our characters have done some messed up things,
right.
and our whole intent is to try and survive the night and hopefully atone for the shenanigans we got into, and make it through to be able to go back to our normal lives. I play a character by the name of Joaquin Ramos, Doctor
Mm-hmm.
Type, and he um Mallory, who is our GM and also is the creator of the channel, they gave us some prompts, and I couldn't help myself because having thinking through like thinking through these, I'm like, how can I make a kind of a messed up character?
Right.
And they took it and just ran with it. So I'm like, I'm here for it.
I love
I
it.
love it because majority of the time. And I guess a question for you then too is, what type of characters do you default to when you are able to play?
Ooh, so I like my favorite class to play is sorcerer. I love doing a sorcerer,
Hmm.
specifically because I can do so many odd things that are opposite of what a sorcerer is supposed to be. So a lot of times I will choose like I don't know, a shadow or a necromancer's type of sorcerer, and then like
Hmm.
give her like make her not like death. You know, like she abhors death. She doesn't like it. She thinks that they need to just they're slow healers. So like those are the type of characters I type of gravitate to. Or if I am doing a more serious actual play, which is not lately,
Hmm.
so more serious actual play, I tend to want to explore how other people's emotions affect my character. So, like
Yeah.
how they interact with other people and how they are able to understand what those emotions are doing to them personally. So,
Hmm.
because I've always had a hard time growing up figuring
Yeah.
out what people are thinking or what like a lot of times to me they don't say what they mean. So
Hmm.
and it always used to bug me. So I want to explore that now in like in when I actually get to play. which is a lot
Oh yeah.
more lately. But that's what I usually do. But yeah, I would love to play. But so, um, you, um, do you plan on having this be like a full time? This is my job endeavor,
um,
or do you have in real life job and then this?
in a perfect scenario, it would be to make content creation more
Yeah.
of like my steady income. Now,
Right. Right.
realistically, Uh, it's not likely. It's
Yeah.
so but it'll still play a significant part of my life.
Mm.
Because here in the next couple of years, I look to transition from my current career field over to something different, and
Ooh.
I am excited for it. So, I would love, like I said, I would love to make this like a permanent
Right. Right.
kind of a deal. But realistically, I don't see it being something unless by some miracle something happens.
Right.
Uh, I'm more than likely gonna. This will continue to be like my main side job, and
Mm.
then I'll find something else to do that'll really just like be able to pay for everything as
Right. Right.
to supplement this.
Oh, that's awesome. So, TTRPG streaming, specifically D&D, is slowly kind of growing, especially on
Mhm.
TikTok. I've noticed specifically on TikTok, but you can follow here on Twitch as well. There's a lot of live actual play channels here on Twitch, and it's a few of them growing on YouTube as well. What do you think that is going to happen to the community as this slow popularity starts to grow more? Will it change how people are playing TTRPGs and how it's presented, or do you think it's just going to stay the same?
I think that um, I think that interest is going to continue to grow. I
Okay.
think also that there's a potential for um, our professional GMs that are out there
Mm.
to be because to be looked to be asked to be more performative
Ooh,
when it
yes.
comes to their GMing styles. Even earlier, early in the earlier 2000s and even late 2000 teens,
Mm.
with the rise of Critical Role, people were asking for GMs to be like Mercer, and
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
it's the whole Mercer effect going on. And so I think that will still continue to occur. Now, I don't agree, I don't believe in the whole Mercer thing, the whole Mercer
Same.
effect.
Same.
It's just we all have our GMing styles.
Yes. Yes.
B Dave Walter said it best, where I will never be able to be like you, but I will be like me,
Right.
or
Right.
something to that. But obviously, that's paraphrased. But
Mm.
I think that as more people find APs, there is going to be people looking for their GMs to kind of be that more performative style, and that may not necessarily be their that GM style, and that's okay.
Right.
But
Right.
I also see on the flip side of things is that production may potentially be looked at as like increasing, or people look to feed it, like give what they can so that way their favorite channels increase that production value.
Right. Right.
That's kind of what I see. What about you? What do you think on that?
Do you so the question I'll answer that in a second, but do you think that GMs should take a more of like not during obviously during their actual play, but right before their stream or right before their table session should take a more director type role when it comes to actual plays, specifically when it comes to saying I need you to lean into this part of the character, or I would like you to explore and be less scared doing this part of the character. You think that would be beneficial to GMs going forward as this becomes more popular?
I don't think so. I think at that point you're going from um the more you're becoming more scripted when it comes to your gameplay, and it's becoming more of a pre-scripted show versus what actual plays are, which is like the role play, and
Mm.
allowing players the autonomy to be able to do what they want with that character. Yeah, you can be like, hey, we're looking to maybe explore more of your character
Hmm.
and let them decide from there. But think I don't think taking a more director style approach is beneficial. Now that's just being maybe me, but I don't see it going that way,
Hmm.
and I I don't think it would be. Maybe there's a way to do it, but for me, I can't see that playing out very well.
Right, right. I mean, to answer your question before, I don't know. I would love for this to be, as it grows in popularity, to be a thing, like to be an actual job. It would be great if you could we could say I'm a professional GM that makes money. Or I'm a professional TTRPG performer, and this is my job. Um, do I think we're there yet? No. Do I
Mhm.
think that with the increase in popularity that there's the potential for it to become that? Um, I think it can happen, but it also depends on a bunch of other factors.
Mhm.
As what people are looking for in their entertainment, as people are moving away from movies and they're moving away from actual television, if they fall into this, maybe it will happen. We don't know, but it's
Yeah,
left to be seen. That's what I mean. It can happen. I think it's a possibility.
yeah,
Maybe in
and
maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, but something like that.
yeah, and on top of that too, there is no handbook on what we're doing. Every
Exactly.
everything that we're doing is just we're throwing spaghetti on the wall to see
Yep.
what sticks.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh,
Like it's literally like okay, I'll talk about Dungeons and Dragons only. Oh wait, somebody's doing that. So
yeah.
it's totally what throwing spaghetti at the wall. I love that analogy. It's exactly what you mean. Um, so as a person of color, you in the TTRPG community space, there are obstacles and stuff that you've probably endured. So, what are some of the stuff that you've had to encounter or endure at your earlier tables, especially as you become more popular as a Critic Award nominee?
Earlier on, um it was being seated at all at nearly all white tables, or being asked to GM for scenarios that really I had no reason to be
Right,
GMing.
right.
For example, I'm Mexican American, born and raised here in the state of Texas.
Hmm.
Um, I was asked to do an adventure for a group
Right.
that um, that was more based in the Middle East,
Hmm.
and it was like it was it was um, it, it was one of those where I was still coming in. This was like my first real big channel to ask me to GM for,
Hmm.
and so while it, I use the I how do I put this? Um, while I use the area that we were using because we were running D&D over in over along the Sword Coast,
Hmm.
I use the area, but as far as like trying to do anything else with it, I left it at surface value because I wasn't comfortable like trying
Right,
to do
right.
anything else. It's like, hey, let's get to the thing. Let's get you guys to do the thing, escape, and then leave.
Right,
You're
right.
there, sure, and that's all I feel comfortable doing. Otherwise,
Hmm.
I I don't want to misrepresent anybody,
Right.
especially one where an area is is supposed to represent or not. It takes aspects from a real world place and real world cultures. I'm like I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. I don't
Like
feel comfortable.
I'm not comfortable, and I totally get that. I totally get that. So what do you think the future then looks like for intersectionality then in the TTRPG space as someone who, as a person of color who, oh, excuse me, wow, that went the wrong way, but as a person of color who has to navigate places where you may not feel comfortable in, and but still try to be inclusive.
I think that slowly but surely we are getting better over time.
Hmm.
It's still going to be very much a long process
Yes.
before it's going to be a long process. Um there is still a vast majority of of TTRPG space, performer wise, viewer wise, that is predominantly white, and
Mm-hmm.
probably either conscious or subconsciously want that at their tables. And a lot of performers, a lot of people within the space are continuing to advocate for more representation, more um, BIPOC tables to be out there. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like I said, it's from when I started to now, it is getting significantly better. And on
Yeah.
top of that, we've had a lot of people have those like initiate those conversations to be like, we are more than just check boxes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is it over at PAX U? D&D Imposter Chris, they ran a panel that specifically went into that, and it was amazingly done. I sat in on it, and it was great being able to see that because,
Mm-hmm.
like, I am we're people too. We're not just like boxes you can check off just so that way like you can,
Mm-hmm.
meet the whatever it is that you're trying to do. No, like actually sit down, talk with us,
Right.
see where we came from because we're not all from the same walks of life. Yes, I like I said, I'm Mexican American, but I don't speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I but there are other Latinas out there that are very fluent Spanish speakers, but there are also people that are like me. You won't know that until you have that conversation.
Right.
Especially if you ask me, "Hey, can you use one of the fantasy languages, but use Spanish to kind of fill that?" I First off, no, because
Exactly.
I don't I barely feel comfortable like saying what I do like on stream
Right.
with the
Right.
little bit of Spanish that I have. But two, excuse me, how dare you?
Right. Exactly. Like no, that's just not that's not a prop. Like that's not how that goes.
Yeah,
Weird.
if I want to engage in that, I will.
Right.
But if don't
Th-
ask me to
yeah,
do that.
that's weird. That's like do you mind like putting on this like yeah, weirdo.
Yeah.
So um, you obviously have a day job.
Yes.
As most of us do. There's very few of us who do this full time. But how do you balance your day job and your in real life stuff with everything that you do with TTRPG performing?
Like I said, it's having an amazing partner that will sit down and have a and we'll schedule our entire week, and
Wow, the
also
entire week.
an entire week, but also the entire month too, because we have our Google calendars are synced up with one another. So
Oh,
if
awesome.
somebody reaches out and like, hey, can you do this game on this day? Like I'll take a look at it, see what I have, see what my wife has, and if we don't have anything, I'll throw it in there. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, you're likely like we won't have anything. But if something does pop up, I will say, hey, I can't. I have a family thing or I have
Right,
a
right.
work thing. But I always tell people too that one, don't be afraid to ask me.
Mm-hmm,
Two, if I
mm-hmm.
say no, I'm going to also tell you, please keep me in mind because it just happened to be that something fell in my
Right.
date in my real time life, and that has to take priority.
Of
So
course, of course.
you know, don't take it personally, but keep me in your thoughts because maybe next time we can actually get something working, or time, the time slot will be better because there have been instances in my career where I have tried to do too much at once. Now maybe just the neurospiciness in me of thinking like, oh, I can do this, I can't do
No,
this.
yeah, I
I
can't.
can't.
This is yuck.
Mm.
Like this is bad. I should have done this. Like this is the wrong way to go. Crap.
Yes.
Like I've done
Oh
that.
no. I've made regrettable life decisions, but at the same time, this was fun. I shouldn't do this again.
This is such a
Um,
fun thing to do, but I'm in pain. Like, I get that. I totally get that. So the best part of one of the favorite parts I love to talk about is Wizards of the Coast. As much as I love Wizards of the Coast, I also can't stand Wizards of the Coast.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
I feel that.
Not specifically because of the game of Dungeons and Dragons, but because of the latest missteps and things that they've been doing. Um, I have also been recently reading because I got an early release.
Ah,
I got an early release PHP. So there are some things in there that are kind of like not the best. They've overpowered some things. I'll get into
hmm,
that later if you want to. But D&D has um, changed its marketplace. It
Hmm.
has taken away the a la carte system. They had the whole OGL thing happen.
Yep.
Um, they're essentially doing all these different things, pretty much trying to figure out a way to make their stock um, better. Um,
Yep.
I get that as a company, capitalism sucks. But what is your opinion of this new scheming that not only WotC is doing, but most gaming companies are doing, with their insistence on making it harder for consumers to access the games that they love?
It's gonna hurt them in the long term. Don't get me wrong; they're probably going to still make money,
Right.
but over time they're going to end up seeing a dip because these books get way too way too, they get expensive for what
Yeah.
they're worth. And I remember I remember watching somebody do like a go through like how and show like how the PHB is structured, like straight from WotC. And it may not have been the PHB, but it was a book that Wizards of the Coast released,
Hmm.
and they showed the craftsmanship of it, and it was really shoddy in comparison to some of the other people that publish. And it's like you're really expecting people to pay 40, 50, 60, $70 for a book that's of this quality.
Right. Right.
um and then adding on top of that, what is you will get to a point where people aren't going to do it. They're just going to read what they can online and try and replicate it, especially
Yeah. Yeah.
with them taking the a la carte system. Like, I would rather just probably build something that I can, is like, if I can get as close to what it originally was,
Right.
sure, I could do it, and then I don't really like, you're not going to get my money.
Yeah, I don't need you anymore. I no longer need your input. I have what I need. Goodbye. Which probably
Yeah.
explains what they're doing now. So, um, chat, if you happen to have an early release and you are reading it on stream on TikTok or something, do not show any
Yep.
pictures
Yep.
because you will get a CGV so quick.
Yep.
Even here on Twitch,
Yep.
I showed turned the book 10 seconds to the camera to show something and to show a table, and I didn't get a strike, but I did get a warning to not do that again.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
They sent that to a lot of influencers to build up the hype, to
yeah,
essentially, hey, look this way, don't pay attention over here.
right. You
Leave the
know,
smoke over there alone, but pay attention here, and then slap everybody essentially who's shown it with a strike.
it was so
That's
bad.
crazy.
Yeah, I didn't get a strike because I didn't go live on TikTok. I don't normally go live on TikTok, but I was here live on Twitch, and I got a little bit of a warning of like, yeah, don't do that. Like, it wasn't a strike. It was just literally like, that's not something you can do right now.
Yeah.
And I
Like,
know that on TikTok it's an actual CGV. So
that's, like I said, that's crazy to me. I picked up Gaslight by what is it, Cthulhu by
yeah,
Gaslight while I was over at Gen Con, and
you were
like
at Gen Con.
I was.
I was at Gen Con. That's annoying.
Yeah, what is it? But to be fair, I wasn't. I was running around doing a lot of things, and if I
Hmm.
wasn't there, I was over with Cobalt Press. So
Gotcha.
and even then, we probably like passed by each other without even realizing it.
Yeah, yeah. There was a bunch of times where I literally saw someone as I'm walking by, like, hey, hug, bye, gone. So that was a lot of
E-
that. Um,
exactly.
and I
But
think,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, no, go for it. I
I was saying, I
interrupted
think
you.
next year I'm gonna make a concerted effort to be like, all right, look, I'm gonna be at Gen Con. We're gonna pick a day. We're all gonna hang out and do dumb stuff. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, what is it? I was reading through the book, and they had like Chaosium made reference to there being a because this is the investigator's guide. There's going to be a keeper's guide as well,
Mhm.
and like I took a picture of that insert and everything. Like, hey, when is this coming out? Because I want this. I understand like you released what you could over
Right.
at Gen Con, and the rest hasn't been published yet. But I want the keeper's guide already. Where
Mm.
we at? Haven't heard
Yeah.
anything. Wilson didn't get any strikes or anything, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, that's nuts.
Oh man, I completely forgot. It's just one of those moments that you're doing your thing on stream, whatever, and I just went like, oh look, there's a table. Literally was probably 10 seconds, and I was so surprised at um, the fact that they were like, yeah, don't do that. And I was like,
Yeah.
alrighty, well that won't happen again. Um, so do you agree then with the direction that Wizards of the Coast is going in? And if not, was it a mistake what they have done so far? And where would you have taken it if you were in charge over there?
If I was in charge over there, probably build I would probably build back the team, because with all the layoffs that has been happening over the last, what is it, last couple years, especially
Yeah.
with since the OGL thing, like, you can they're probably trying to do more with less, and that
Yes.
doesn't work. And like in my line of work, you try doing that, you may get success initially,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to burn people out. And if you and you that initial success will spike up and then it will drop down shortly.
Right. Right.
Like sharply, sorry. If I was in charge, I'd be like, I would build back the team as much as I can, as much as anybody would be willing to come back, and I'd probably also give them the as much of a raise as we could, because everybody deserves a livable wage, especially making one of the most known TTRPGs out there.
Mm.
So why not repay the teams that are developing all this, the artists that are doing the work, the editors, everybody, and then legitimately ask for feedback from the community, see what they want, because I know what I want, but what does everybody as a community want,
Right.
and bring as much stuff back as we can, because ultimately your game is going to be as successful as the community will make it to be,
Right.
as invested as they're going to be in, because like I said, you can shine all the flashy stuff you want, but if you're striking down your influencers for showing a little bit of the player's guide, if you are, taking away a lot of things that the community loves, then eventually they're going to leave, and
Yeah.
they're not going to come back.
I mean, I
And
would. I
there
would.
are a lot of other companies that are wanting and chopping at the bit to get just any fraction of whatever D&D, the community D&D loses, and bring them, hey, come over here, let's play Tales of the Valiant, let's play Call of Cthulhu. Hey, a lot of indie TTRPG players, creators out there are wanting to, like, hey, check this out, support this. It's cheaper than what
Yeah.
you're going to get with that WotC book.
Not only that, no, there's so many homebrews, not just
Yeah,
indie games. There's so many homebrews. There's so many like just really good storytellers that can
yeah,
just they know the rules already, and then
mhm,
just spit out these great games that just flow so much easier. And I don't have to buy a million and one books. Now, don't get me wrong, I love books, as you can see behind me,
mhm,
but I am not going to. I'm gonna avoid buying something that's giving me a hard time for wanting me to consume your stuff. Why don't you want me to consume your things? Like,
exactly.
it's so weird. Um, so if so, okay, it's very weird to me that Wizards of the Coast doesn't see any other TTRPG as competition. Do you see other TTRPGs, especially indie ones, not just Paizo, because Paizo I feel is another big corporation, but do you see other indie ones as being competitive, like with against Dungeons and Dragons?
Um, yes, it's definitely going to be Darrington Press.
Ooh,
Um, with everything that they got going on, because with the whole OGL bit, and what is it, their their clause in the earlier draft, saying if you make X amount of dollars, you'll have to if I'm not safe, do royalties, or you'll have to end up paying Wizards of the Coast that back.
mm,
What other group out there, what other company out there is able to do that, besides maybe Paizo,
right.
maybe Cold Press, definitely Darrington Press.
Yeah. Oh my god, I didn't even think. Oh wow. Oh wow, you got me
And then
thinking now.
on top of that, you got Candela Obscura that's out. You
Yep.
have what is it, Daggerheart that is coming out
Dagger's
soon.
coming out soon. Hmm.
We're also need to incorporate that the other games that has been coming out of Darrington Press too. So they're up there as far as competitors, at least from what I've seen.
Right, right. Oh, I didn't even think about that. That is a
Yeah.
good point. Ooh, boy. Wizard of the Coast better watch out. Um, so now the fun part. If you invented magic in
Oh geez.
D&D or in TTRPGs, whatever it is, how would it be different and how would you make it better?
Um, if I were to create magic, um, honestly, I don't know because I oh when I run games and I run whenever I run games, I don't get into the weeds when it comes to the magic. I know that there are verbal components. There are what is it? The
Verbal,
verbals.
vocal, somatic, and material.
Yes. Um, I if my players describe them, they describe them. If they don't, if they say, "Hey, I just go ahead and cast Eldritch Blast," or "Here's a fireball," if they describe how they do it, including all those components, cool. If they don't, that they don't. I just leave. I personally don't ever really think into it, but I allow my players to like, how do they envision this happening, and especially if it's like a pretty cool moment when it comes to like the magic that they're doing, by all means, like, hey, does this look to everybody else? How I would develop it, I don't know. I've never thought about that.
Oh, so that leads me to the next question. Then, are you a home brewer? Do you write any home brews, or do you like just pick something else other than WotC module?
I just I like to support third party creators.
Mm,
Any sort of like Darrington Press with the Tal'Doria Reborn book. My current home group that's been running since 2019. Like we're currently going through what is it a an adventure using the Tal'Doria Reborn campaign setting, and that's just with whatever comes to D&D. Otherwise everything else is other games, but I'm also using whatever information is available because my time is very limited, so
right,
I
right.
don't necessarily have the time to be able to like homebrew something unless it's like it's super like it's one of those like it's a case where like, hey, I need to legitimately like take time to make this as awesome as possible. Otherwise
Hmm.
I'm going to pull whatever stuff that is currently available just to and give that to my players.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that you like support people who you know who homebrew or do the indie thing. I love that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so cool. I never even thought about that. I homebrew so much. I'm like, am I running out of ideas? Now I know. Maybe I should just go find someone else to do it. That makes my life easier. um,
No, 100%.
it like makes my life so much easier. God, I just have to learn your story. Um, if you and your friends are stuck on a desert island and all you had was D&D, 12 hours a
Mhm.
day, 5 days a week, what setting are you running?
Like I said, I'm taking Tadori Reborn, and then we're going through and seeing level 1 through 20, and seeing what adventures and shenanigans we can get into.
Oh, okay. So you start at level 1.
Uh, I've only done it once,
Okay.
and ever since then, I'm like, I'm gonna just continue just starting at level 3. But
Same.
if we're stuck on an island with all that time,
Mhm.
sure, let's actually start from level 1. Let's actually
Right.
build and flush these characters out because we ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair because usually I start my players level 3. Like I hate the
Yeah,
slog of level 1. It drives me bonkers. Like it's like, oh my god, hurry up! Like, and I hate doing that to my players. I feel like I'm like rushing them. It's so unfair. So I have
yeah.
to ask because I see stuff behind you though. Dice person, mini collector.
Dice person.
Really?
Uh, yes, I have a lot of dice that are relatively close by and readily accessible for whatever I need them to do. If I These are my GM dice from Misty
Mm.
Mountain Games. I've had these since 2022, I think
Ooh,
2021,
okay.
2022. And they've been my go-to GM dice ever since then. And whatever Kickstarter that I see, and whatever anybody else who makes dice, like if I can afford to make that purchase right then and there,
So
I will
bad.
do it.
So bad. So bad. It's so. They cost so much money. Oh my god.
I
So much
know,
money.
I
Like,
know, but they're so pretty though.
they're
And then
so pretty.
what is it? Whitney, who is a who took home best dice maker
Yeah,
last night.
smoking glue gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is it? I remember sitting down during, I think it was a session zero, or I think it was during the session zero, where we were talking about 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 dice and the dice
Hmm.
that she makes, and then we somehow or another came up about eating the dice, and she was like, "Don't eat the dice." I'm like, "If not food, why in food shape?"
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Same thing, you know. But if that's the case, do you is it just dice that you collect, or are there other things that you are attracted to that you kind of like gravitate towards to collect?
Right now I'm actually in a little bit well, besides like books for supplements, I love looking at the art. I love seeing what artists are able to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten into Magic and Lorcana recently, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much like collecting what is it? Collecting those cards,
Mm-hmm.
saving them up, taking as good a care of them as I can, because I some of those cards are a significant amount of money. And I'm like, and that's what I was telling my wife, like, we have to put these away because right now they may be worth 10, 15 cents.
Right.
Give it a few years down the road, and those may be like 30, 40 bucks a card.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is a significant amount. So I have to ask this with all the games that you're playing. Um, how do you develop each character that you are playing for the different games?
That is one where like it depends on the system that we're playing and what the group needs, because I generally like to fill in the gap with whatever we're missing, whatever is perceived to be missing. When it came to like it'll fluctuate between between groups and between the games that we play,
Right.
because what I did for Candela Obscura, it was a conversation with me and Cynthia Marie,
Oh,
with
okay.
where like we talked about, like she brought up the idea of being siblings, and I'm like, bet, let's go. How do we, like, what was our origin story? Where did we
Mm-hmm.
come from? She went the performer route. I was like, okay, well, maybe Victor was more of the one that was able to pick up on, hey, we got rich folks over here, you know, maybe slide your way over here so we can snatch and go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that character gets developed. And I'm very fortunate that she brought it up, because I don't know where I would have taken Victor if that wasn't the case. It would have been interesting, and would have been super different than what he is now. But um, yeah, if I'm by myself and I have no character ties,
Mm-hmm.
then like I said, I'm going to default to filling in gaps. But
Right. Right.
if I have somebody that I can play off of, then it'll lead me to being to developing character a little bit more robust.
So, with all the games that you play, and having the characters be so very different from each other, because they are very, very different from each other, I've watched the games. How do you prep for your games, specifically when sometimes you go back to back?
Uh so I haven't figured that out yet. I, honest to God, I can go from game to game and play those different aspect and play different aspects, because like a lot of us, we put our personalities within the characters that we're playing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's those different bits that we lean into. So, what I do for one character is going to what personality trait I give that one character will be
Mm-hmm.
different than I give to this one, and
Right.
then depending on if it's a one shot, it'll be it may be surface level, but if it's more long term, you're going to see like the that character personality type like develop from whatever facet of my personality that they had and
Okay.
flourish into something else.
Oh, nice. So,
Yeah.
do you ever have like character bleed from character to character, or do you just like, I'm in this game, this is the character, nothing's gonna like flow over from another, from like Castleton to say like Twisted Games or something?
Um, No, not really. Because the games that it's always going to boil down to whichever games it is, and there's a level of understanding of uh what type of like how serious of a game are we playing.
Right.
In Castleton, I get to play a bleeding heart romantic a bleeding heart romantic uh noble because
Yes. Yes.
it's all allegedly that he's a pirate, but I get to play this guy. But then I can flip over and be this cold-hearted villain
Mm,
in Joaquin Ramos over at Rediscovery RPG, and then if I needed to, flip the script, talk with North, and be that detective that I need to be for Victor. So.
okay.
Uh,
Okay.
it's there's a lot of switching that takes place in my mind, and I know it happens. I just don't know how to explain how it happens, other
Okay.
than like I know the group and I know what vibes we're going
Right.
with that group.
Okay. Okay. So
I
so
think that
there's
sounds
really
nice.
no prep then that you have. Right before your game, there's nothing that you need to do to like get yourself in the mindset. You just know this is what we're doing. This is the game. That's it.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm jealous. um, jealous. That's fine. I mean, some people I'm just natural.
And I have to give it up because I have to give it up to the people that are able that that need that time, because I think for me, with it naturally being with being able to naturally switch from character to character, I think I there might be a loss in something um with how I connect with that character. And I
Okay.
think it may take a little bit longer and even more of the role play to occur for me to like fully grasp and connect into that character
Hmm.
versus somebody that is like needing that prep time
Right.
to immerse themselves into who they're playing.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, with so many games that you play, do you have any regrets or mistakes that you've had as a performer?
Um, my only regret is not uh not in my earlier days advocating more for more diversity within within
Hmm.
tables,
Hmm.
and even now like the fear that I once had where I may get blacklisted, I may not be, I may
Right.
not get invited to any more games, as silly as it may sound, like
That's so
that
weird. Like I feel like that would not happen to you. Like you're a really good player. You seem to
I,
get along well with
but
like everyone at your table. So
Yeah, but it's just a fear. It's just something that because you hear about it with with actors, like you
yeah,
piss off the wrong person. We all talk like we as the at the TTRPG space, we all talk with one another. So
yeah, yeah.
if you mess up with one person,
Ooh, yes.
it's going to get out.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
I've seen people who were developing a name for themselves until it came out how shitty of a person that they were, and
yeah.
then immediately like
Crash and burn.
crash and burn, and then anything that you had done to that you had done like you had done somebody wrong, you had made them feel uncomfortable, it came out,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm glad to see those people go. And I'm just like, well, what if, what if I speak up and like somebody starts some shit on me, and then next thing you know, like, I don't get those calls anymore, and I'm
Mm,
that's just a and it may more just be more self-conscious, like I'm afraid like I may make somebody mad because I don't know, I just for speaking up for something that I think a lot of that now I feel more comfortable doing, but at the time or earlier on I was just afraid to speak up. So I think that's my biggest regret earlier on, is not advocating more for more diversity within our space.
Do you think that when you first started, um, that the vibe of people wanting to understand uh, intersectionality and intentionality has changed to be more accepting, and that they want to hear um, black people and people of color's voices more, as opposed to maybe 5, 10 years ago, when this kind of started becoming a thing?
Yes, I absolutely believe so because I think with a lot of with a lot more BIPOC people coming into the space
Hmm.
and making ourselves known like, hey, we're here, we want to see this. People aren't seeing it as just a way of like, checking the block, like how I mentioned earlier. People actually are interested in seeing the stories that we want to tell. There are other creators that are out there that will have a policy like, hey, if you're inviting me to a table, the white creators that will say, if at least if more than half the table is white, then I'm taking myself out of it, I'm not
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I'm like, so I absolutely believe we're, like I said, we're going in a better direction than what we were before, like
Right.
10, 15 years ago.
Okay. I mean, I actually agree. Do you think now, even though it's slightly easier, I wouldn't say slightly, even though it is easier to speak about these things, do you think that for some GMs and DMs that it makes them uncomfortable, so it prevents them from, I guess, approaching you or approaching other BIPOC people in an effort to bring more diversity to their tables?
I think it comes down to intent, right? Are you just asking me to play just so that way you can say you have BIPOC representation, or do you actually care to get to know me as a person
Right.
and being able to play at your table? Because that right there alone will should be able to if you can answer that question like, hey, I actually want to see, how Sam is as a person, and like learn their story and see where they're coming and how we can incorporate into that, versus like you had mentioned earlier, oh well, we need more BIPOC representation, so Justin, can you come over here and play with us?
Yeah, no, I don't, I'm good.
No, I'm good. Thanks, man, but no.
um, you have a very unique play style. You could tell there's a style to your play style. What advice would you give someone who wants to emulate what you're doing?
um I would say I would say not to necessarily, not to look at like how I play as like something to emulate. I'd say look at how I play and see how you can do better than me.
Ooh,
When it comes
okay.
to, yeah, by all means be better than me, and I have that mentality even in my own workplace where I tell the people that work for me, I will do what I can to make you better than me, because I've made mistakes to get to where I am. So I don't want you to make them. I want you to do better than me. I want you
Right.
to excel, even if it means you become my boss. I'd rather do that than anything else. So if there is somebody that wants to emulate me, I say reach out, talk to me, and see how we can make you better than me, because um there's a significant amount of talent out there in the TTRPG space,
Oh God, yes.
especially amongst BIPOC creators, and I would love to see more people excel. And I think the biggest thing that, at least for me, is like getting over the fear of asking for help and even just reaching out.
Oh my God. That is such a good. I love that take because, what, especially when you're first starting out, you're like, I'm gonna do this by myself. I don't have to ask anyone. I don't want to bother anyone. I don't want to be a burden. I have to pay my dues and do it all by myself. When you can just go, hey, listen, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Help me. Please
help me.
help me. Help me. Uh, so, um, I it's always something I always believe, and I say this to a lot of my guests, that people who do podcasts or social media or who are performers like yourself are pretty much like and when I say I'm going to say undiscovered about this, but when I say undiscovered, I
Mhm.
mean undiscovered by Hollywood, the Hollywood media.
Yeah.
They're undiscovered producers, directors, actors, tech people. Where do you see yourself in those roles that I've just mentioned, and do you plan on expanding on any of them in the future?
Um, I think I see myself more within like the what is it? I think I would see myself more either as like a producer or as an actor, even with my limited experience and formal training as an actor. That's where I'd see myself being, despite being a GM and seeing how that does. Even I would maybe say like even as a creative director, I would still probably I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to sit in that role of being able to of telling people what they do. I'd rather just here's the scenario, how do you guys react to it,
Right, right.
or like, hey, let's get you guys prepped up, let's get you guys the schedules set up so that way we can be able to make what we need to make, or um like with teching over at Roll D5, where I get to just be behind the scenes and allow the people to do their magic and not have to worry about doing worry without having to worry about any of the technical
Right,
aspects.
right, right. Oh, that's so cool. So you don't see yourself like like doing like your own actual play channel here on Twitch and you know heading the whole thing from start to finish.
Not by myself. If I were to do something like that, I'd rather do it with a team.
Gotcha.
Just kind of like what we mentioned before.
Yeah.
Like you come into the space wanting to do everything by yourself, but that can so quickly lead to burnout
Oh,
because
100%.
you're doing everything by yourself. You're working by yourself. You're having to figure so many things out. When if you have a team around you, especially a team of friends, you can divvy up all the work and then learn off of one another from what you guys have picked up. So I would never want to do this by myself. I'd rather be with a team. And even as like with my social media posts and everything, that's still teamwork. That's still stuff like I'm working with my wife on.
Right,
It's like,
right.
hey, tell me to go into my room, take the phone away, and tell me to go create. And when she does, I'm like, okay, cool. And I may come in here, write some stuff out, but it's still a team effort. I'm not doing this by myself.
Right,
I'm
right.
having help.
Gotcha, gotcha. So then, the next question I have then is, what do you think someone would need coming into this genre? Whether it's just content creation in general, but also content creation. Real quick, I know you guys hear the music. For the people who are in my chat who have normally been in my chat, my neighbor's having another party. You know I love my neighbor. My neighbor's amazing, but it's Saturday here in New York, and it's relatively nice. So there's gonna be a party. So that's what you're hearing. So if you're hearing you're hearing all that music, that's what that is. Um, totally fire, love it. But I wanted to know, for someone coming in as a content creator, whether it's in the TTRPG space or just in general, what personality trait or strength you think they would need to be successful in this industry?
I think it would probably be humility and the willingness, like I said, to ask for help.
Mm-hmm,
Um, Understand that we all start from someplace, and very few of us are lucky enough to be able to uh, jump up into what is it? Jump up into the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers overnight.
yes,
So as
yes.
long as people have like that willingness to like learn to communicate with those in the space and also like keep that attitude, like I'm no better than the person that's just coming in, the person that just ran their first Call of Cthulhu game.
Mm-hmm.
We are peers, we are colleagues within our space. So th- that's 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 some of the traits that I would want to see for from new people coming in.
Right, right. Oh, I love that. That's actually pretty cool because a lot of times people are like, they come in and just like want to be successful immediately.
No,
It's not gonna happen that way if you think it is.
no,
Yeah,
it,
you're
it
just
you
looking for failure. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's rare that
Yeah.
that people can come in and be able to do that. Like I said, it happens, But those are the exceptions, not the rules.
Right, right.
For everybody else, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to talk with the community. You're going to have to reach out and collaborate and network with folks if you
Mm-hmm.
want to go anywhere. And as long as you have the intention of like, I'm looking to, you know, make friends along the way. I'm looking to build up others around you. Like you're going to see success.
Yeah.
But then it also comes to what do you define as success?
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I never thought of that way because usually like so have you ever gotten the question then why are you doing this? Because that's a question that happens to some content creators like, oh, why are you doing this? Are you doing this, because you want to be this massive content creator? Why are you doing this especially for this type of community? Like why are you in this space?
Um, I'm in this space because I enjoy telling stories. I find this fun. I don't see this as a job, even though there are some aspects of it that are very job like.
Yes.
Like I enjoy this. I enjoy sitting down and watching, a new scary movie or a B-list
Mm,
movie that may give me inspiration for the next series of Call of Cthulhu games I'm running,
yes. Yeah.
or rewatching old classics because who doesn't enjoy a zombie flick to give you
Yep.
inspiration for a new TTRPG
Yep.
system that you're going to use.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that's I went off the rails there and I
That's
forgot where
okay.
I
I
was
love I love
at.
going off the rails. Going off the rails is fun because
Yes.
you find out best things about people. People always like people ask that question all the time. Like, and I sometimes I ask that question, and sometimes I don't because for some reason it makes people uncomfortable. That's really weird. Don't know why. Can't figure it out. What important life lessons have you learned from gaming?
Scheduling is the true big bad evil guy of the space,
A hundred
and
percent.
yes, but prioritization is like the big thing, and I had a good conversation over at Gen Con with it being like if I had the ability to be able to if I had all the time in the world, I would be playing in all of the games as much as
Yes.
possible.
Yes.
But there is the need to prioritize everything that you got going on in real life in your real life and also here within the space.
I love that. That's amazing. Um, so I know people like sometimes be like, "What's your biggest influence?" And people usually go, "Oh, I don't know, Morgan Freeman," or they pick some massive actress or actor or some made famous author. But I've always asked this question before, and some people have an answer, some people don't, and that's perfectly fine. But what is one of your biggest influences that no one or most people have never heard of?
Um, Biggest influence as far as like why I GM,
Yeah,
why I'm in
why
the
you're
space.
in while you're doing that, why you're TTRPG performer, why you GM, why you're in the creative artistic space,
Mhm.
like why this, why not like tech or like something like why who uh, influences you to be here?
Um, and it would be it would be Jason Acevedo from Realmsmith, because
Really?
yeah, he and I haven't had I've had very limited interactions with him. He seems like an awesome guy to work for and to work with. But I remember before I made that dive into into content creation,
Mm-hmm.
watching the beginnings of the Into the Mist series that he runs, and being like, I want to do what he does,
Yes.
and he has a great GM style,
Mm-hmm.
and he has the ability to have the amazing folks that he does at his table. It's like
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to figure out how he got there and see what I can do to get to that point.
Right. Right. Oh, that's cool. I mean, that's see that always goes back to like, okay, how do I ask? What is your favorite teacher RPG that you've ever played?
Um, that would be the Call of Cthulhu system, and
Really?
that's yeah, and that's because it's my gateway into getting into horror.
Mm-hmm.
Um, initially, I didn't like horror growing up, to be honest with you, and even it took being with my wife a little bit
Mm-hmm.
before I started loving and appreciating it because stuff with the childhood. But I would watch horror movies during the daytime because like it's not scary if it's during the daytime. There's sun out and I don't have to worry about what bumps in the night, right?
Yeah, I get you. I'm the same way. Like, I will literally, like, if I have work to do, I'll watch a horror movie because I know I'll stay up
Yeah.
all night. That's when I'll watch a horror movie, and then like, okay, I'm
Yep.
just gonna stay up now. So I get it. But yeah, oh wow, okay.
And
I thought I was
yeah,
the only one that did that.
no, no, not at all. Well, for us, it's more like we'll put on like Bones or Criminal Minds or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
end up falling asleep to it. Or what is it? I remember one time when I was with my wife at her at my in laws' place. She put on the Babadook, and I was like, I don't necessarily want to watch the movie, so and then I'm out.
That's
Slept
awesome.
through the rest of the movie,
Like, okay, good night. um,
and I'm out.
and I'm out. So outside, then that's gonna be the next question. So outside of TTRPG, outside of all this that you do, your busy schedule, what other games or pastimes do you enjoy?
Um, Magic the Gathering and recently Lorcana.
Oh, okay.
I picked up Magic in last year in 2023 from from a coworker that I had known since he came into our industry,
Mm-hmm.
and we happened to be on a work trip together, and he brought his decks with me, showed me how to play, and then with Magic, it incorporating the what is it the different IPs such as Doctor Who,
Mm-hmm.
more recently Assassin's Creed.
Ooh.
That I meet well Doctor Who. I immediately jumped in on it and I started learning how to play, and I play every chance that I get. In
I
fact,
haven't back there. I haven't looked at it yet. I want to look it so bad. I planned this weekend was supposed to be the weekend I was gonna like open it and like read it and like go through the whole thing.
yeah,
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay.
because what is it? Earlier this week, I played I was it was me North Wolf 911, and a couple of other folks in our Discord channel. We played it till like 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time, and we were
Oh,
like, we can't, boys, we got to call it.
I gotta
I
go to
can't.
bed. Like, I
We
gotta go
gotta
to
go to
sleep.
sleep.
I gotta go to sleep. Oh, that's amazing. How do you find time? Like, I know you said that your wife is instrumental in, but like making sure you have the time to do things and keeping you on track. How do you find time to just be just you and her?
That comes with us sitting down each week and seeing what our schedules look like, and then taking advantage of any of the days where I have white space open on on my calendar, where we'll make a date night, and it may not even just be it may be us just watching a movie, it may be us
Mm-hmm.
going to check out this new diner that opened up here in El Paso. It could be any little thing, even just like because she's from here, I'm not. So it's a lot of her family that we'll go out and visit and go hang out with, but it all comes down to just us sitting down together and figuring out what we could do. And sometimes we just are both tired and we just like, um, we're gonna sit down on the couch, we're gonna maybe do some laundry, and that's it. This is date night.
This
I'm
is
like,
date. That's
I'm
awesome.
fucking here for it.
That'll work. So I have to ask this though: rule of cool, or rules is written?
Oh, rule of cool all day.
Really?
Yes.
Everyone says rule of. I've had one person say rules is written. So why then rule of cool for you?
Because I'm under the belief that the rules should never get in the way of somebody being able to do something that is probably 10 times better than what I can even describe. And like they said, what is it like what is said with the other GMs too, and even some of the corporations, what is it, the other companies as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is just a guideline. Like
Right.
these
Yes.
that's to show you how this is supposed to work, but at the end of the day, don't let this is just guides. You can do this, you can rule it this way, but it's your table. Do with it
Hmm.
as you may. And trust me, I will let people abuse that all day long.
Really? So to what
Yes.
extent then are you? Can the abuse happen? Like, can you? Like, can I like jump on the back of like a troll and like fireball down his throat? Like, like
So for that case, right? If me and you are playing a game and you're faced with this situation, and you give me that option, like, hey, I want to do this. I want to use my sword to. I want to use because you have a dexterous character. You want to jump off of you want to time it to where you bounce where you use the ogre's backswing to get you leverage onto his
mm.
back and be able to jump and hopefully, stab him in the place that he needs to. I'm like, bet that sounds like a great idea. Let's see if it works. Go ahead and roll. Go ahead, roll for it, and go ahead, roll for advantage because I want to see if this actually works out. Let's see. Let's tell the story.
Let's tell a story and a three. Never mind.
No, that's with advantage. I need roll the other dice.
Roll
Roll
the
the other
other
dice.
dice. Okay, and a nine. Kinda.
Mm-mm. And then we'll just kind of go from there.
Then we'll go from there. So, which actually, I have a question then. Um, as permissive or not permissive as you are with your players, um, when you encounter something that a player wants to do that seemingly is impossible, how do you mitigate that circumstance?
Um, that's one of those where the whole no but can take place
Mm-hmm.
because there are going to be circumstances, and it's very rare that it happens. I think as performers, we understand that there there there's a line when it comes to like what your character is able to do. But
Yes.
for somebody who isn't a performer, who's just wanting to play the game, like
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, cool, I understand where you want to go, but maybe we can look at it in this light and see if we can still do what you want to do, but do it in a way that maybe makes more sense. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it may just be that they see how they want it to happen and they
Mm-hmm.
think this is the way to do it, but maybe we can work something together and compromise
Right.
and figure out the better way of doing it, because how I see it, how you see it may be totally different, but how we see it together may be even better than what either you or I could have come up with.
Okay, gotcha. So I love this question because it always makes my guests go, oh, ooh. So the question is, if you could perform for anyone, dead or alive, real or fiction, up to five people, with anyone, who would it be?
um Give me on a table with Jason, give me on a table with Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and for let me also get a Brea on there, and
Well,
let's see
everyone
what we
says a
can.
prayer. Everyone says a prayer. Like, I want a prayer. I need her in my stream. I want.
Well, let me switch out Jason for Amy, and
Okay.
then let me see if I can get those two as players and what chaos they can bring.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. So I said early in the stream that if you wanted to, we could talk about the new PHB and how ridiculously overpowered some of the classes are.
Yes, please, because I've been seeing it, and I won't lie, I'm a little envious of it, but at the same time, like, I don't want to get a strike or anything, because I would have already
So the
like
only
been
thing I
told
can
like,
do, we could talk about it. We could totally talk about. I can read from it
right,
all the
right,
time. Totally fine. I just can't show pictures inside the book. So I can show you the front of the book, which everyone's
right.
seen, which is great. But so one of the overpowered things, um, and I don't know if you ever played a barbarian before, and relentless rage.
Okay.
So normally we know relentless rage, drop down to 0 hit points, roll DC 10, beat a DC 10, pop
Hmm.
up to 1 hit point.
Yes.
They're going forward after that. The DC goes up by 5, but it's always popping back up to 1.
Yep.
Wizards of the Coast, in their infinite wisdom, has decided that one is not a good number. Now, you roll to beat a DC 10, so 10 or
Mm-hmm.
better, and you pop back up to twice your level.
Oh wow.
So if you're at level 11, you will pop back up to 22 hit points.
Interesting.
Yes. Now the DC
That's
going forward is still 5 every time, but now I don't need to roll again. Like,
yeah. I think that's an over correction because they don't have it set in at least from my understanding, they don't have it set where within the rules that you take any levels of exhaustion when you go down.
right.
You pick right back up. So I think that's just that. I think that's an overcorrection,
A
and I agree
major
with you.
over.
That's crazy.
That is insane. So that's one of them. And then let me see if I can find it. We were reading Monk last night, which was pretty interesting. But here's my issue with Monk. If I could find it, because it doesn't require any save or roll or anything. You could just do the thing, um,
Mhm.
which is pretty interesting. Where is it? It is somewhere here. My neighbors are awesome. Like I love them. I adore them. They're so much fun. But
Yeah.
this is insane. So where now I can't find it because it's super irritating. It irritated the mess out of me last night. Just so you know, I was just like,
Yeah.
what is happening? Why are we doing this? So, slow fall. So slow fall
Okay.
used to be a feat.
Yeah.
Now slow fall is something you get at level 4 as a monk.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And slow fall now reads as you take a reaction when you fall to reduce any damage you take from the fall by an amount equal to 5 times your monk level. Yeah, that's the reaction I had.
I. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely a way to go. Uh.
So the more I read, the more I'm starting to realize, and I know where they're going. I know where Wizards of the Coast is going. I know that they're doing this specifically because they want new players to pick this up and feel amazing playing the character, feel like a
Mhm.
badass, feel really really cool being this character. That being said, a lot of people who first play don't pick up the player's handbook.
Yeah.
They just don't, and they usually start learning to play with someone who has been playing for a while, which means
Yeah.
the old 5e. So why are we doing that? Why are we overpowering monks and barbarians and doing this? Like, I don't understand what's happening. What is your opinion on what you think that Wizards of the Coast is doing with all this craziness in there?
Uh, just it's not like I said. It sounds like it's an overcorrection. They are trying to make themselves what is it? This new version of the PHB a little bit more distinguishable from the 2014
Yeah.
rule set. So I think that probably what is it? Um, I I would have to like I would want to see like what the main feedback was that they had gotten when they were doing the play test.
Yes. Oh, that's a good question. That's a good point. I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, because and I never got a chance to play test it.
Yeah.
So that would be my main thing is like what was the common denominator
Mm-hmm.
that you guys were seeing? And or was this originally part of your idea with making the barbarians be what to be able to do that because you know the whole running meme of like being so angry that you can't die, like
Yeah.
I'm here for it, don't get me wrong, but that's taking it to a level that I mm, I would then have to get more creative, which I have no problem with. But wait, what is it? It's definitely different, and I would want to see what that feedback was that
Right.
drove it because there has to be, right. I'm assuming,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what drove it, but I always believe Relentless Rage was a story tool. So
Yeah.
it's one of those role playing story tools that you have that barbarian just like, you cannot kill me. It looks great in the story. I am fully injured. I'm bleeding out, and I'm still going at one hit point.
Yep.
Um, now that they have um, taken it and said, nope, not one hit point, twice whatever level you are. So at the least you could be 22. At the least you could be 22 hit points.
Yeah.
I think it's taken away from the role playing aspect of that feat or whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
So now, how is that dramatic?
That's fair. I think part of what they may also be doing too is leaning back into the combat simulator that D&D originally was,
Right, right, right.
which is like, okay, so here's your tank. We're actually making him a tank, and jumping
Okay.
back every time you knock him back down. But there's a lot of people that enjoy that role playing aspect of it. And I agree with you that you're it's it's getting that's a little out of hand because now you're and on top of that you're also putting others at what is it um you have to find a way to be able to balance that with the other classes too,
Yes, yes.
because unless you are running an oops all barbarians group, that GM is going to have to plan for what that barbarian is now capable of doing, being able to
Right,
jump back up to like 22 hit points, right?
right. At
Um,
the very least, because it starts at a level 11. So at
yeah,
the very least, you could get 22 hit points.
yeah. So then the other classes, I'm hoping have something to counter to balance out with that because um, I haven't read or heard much about the ranger class. That's actually my favorite class in
Ranger,
D&D.
I'm
Yes.
so sorry. So the reason I'm so sorry is because they have taken out Horizon Walker is gone,
No.
and and Swarm Keeper is gone.
With what?
It's just gone. They took those out as a subclass, so you can no longer be a Horizon Walker or a Swarm Keeper. It,
So what options are available to you then as a
as a
ranger?
ranger. Hold on a second, because I have people who are very upset about this. They're like, "What do you mean Horizon Walker is gone?" I'm like, "It's also there's no Artificer that is
Oh,
gone as a class." So
that's kind of understandable,
it makes
especially
I understand why they did that because it's not a beginner friendly class. Um,
yeah.
it's
And
just
then
not.
that was derived off of what Keith Baker does with
Right,
Eberron. So I'm sure they'll probably do what they did before, ask Keith to make another supplement for them, so that
right.
way they can introduce it. But eh,
And I get it. Like I said, I get it. So let me go to the subclasses for Ranger. It's actually pretty interesting. So, as a Ranger, the subclasses you get are Beastmaster, Fey
mhm.
Wanderer,
Okay.
Gloomstalker, and Hunter. That's it.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
At least you still have the Gloomstalker, and I'm
Hmm.
waiting to. Oh, it'll probably be later on when they do another dragons related book, because my favorite subclass out of the Rangers is the Drake Warden.
Right. Right. So I feel like they've done something like it. I kind of read it. I didn't read quite all the way through it. There is something like that in there, I think. But from what I read, this is what I think they're doing with the Ranger.
Hmm.
They're just not calling it this. They're making the Ranger a druid fighter. That's what it feels like. Um,
Okay.
and I think, well, maybe I'll do it on Monday, not Monday, next weekend. But I'll reread Ranger next weekend. But it feels very much like reading through it, just reading through the levels, that you are not a ranger anymore. You're not this you still are, but you're not this charismatic, like, in the woods, I have your back. Like,
Hmm.
now it feels very much like you can cast spells, you can do these wonderful things. You still have some ranger things, but I want you to lead into this druid part of it. So it feels like a druid fighter.
Okay.
That's what it feels like. I don't know how people are gonna receive that, but that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and I know there have been complaints about the ranger class not like trying to figure out what it's supposed to do. Like, is it supposed to be that fighter? Is it supposed to be that druid? Like,
Right.
what is it trying to do? Because it's taking a lot of those aspects, and I
Yeah.
think that's part of like what I enjoyed about it is that it if you what is it depending on how you like the role play aspect of it, I enjoy it all day long, but then you
Right.
take a look at like how it's like however you build it, like I get the best of both worlds and I will enjoy a character that has both of those abilities,
Yes.
and allow me to do what I need to do, either be that healer, be more of that fighter, whatever the party needs.
Yeah. I mean, for people who enjoy Ranger, enjoy the duality of it and the ever-changing ways that it can be different, um, not really knowing what a Ranger is, it's great. For people who see Rangers as this forest keeper type of
Mhm.
fighter, they're not gonna be happy at
I can
all.
imagine.
They're gonna be so upset. Um, the other thing I will touch on is, and this is coming from a player standpoint that loves to bend the rules.
Yeah.
So if you have me as a player at your table, I'm gonna ask to do really crap, like really weird shit. Um, but in Barbarian Path of the Zealot, that you
Yeah.
have at level 14 Revivification. Um, when a creature within 30 feet of you drops to 0 hit points, you can take a reaction to expend a use of your rage to instead change the target's hit points to a number equal to your barbarian level. So now the barbarian can revive a dead character, one of their dead party members,
Huh.
to hit points equal to their barbarian level, with a minimum of 14 hit points because it starts at level 14.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
I hmm.
right.
I would have to read. I would want to see how that played out. Like in my head, I'm thinking meme style. Like, you know, the barbarian goes over to the downed ranger, picks him
Right.
up, slaps him a couple times, and says "wake up" and throws him back on. And he's like, "Oh, I'm what? I don't know what just happened here."
Yeah.
But like, I see that happening. But oh, geez.
Yeah, because you have if they have a party member that's making death saving throws, they can go. Oh, also your rage as a barbarian, you have rage points, as
Okay.
similar to focus key points. So you could use a rage point to
Mhm.
revive your party member. So they're like, oh, they're dead. Not anymore. 14 health points for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like insane to me. Like this feels so overpowered.
Yeah.
This feels really like as a GM, as a player, yes, I will do the thing. Like as a GM, now I have to like kill your barbarian outright. Like that's what I
Yeah.
think. Like I have to I need to get rid of you. Like you have to go. You're a level 14 barbarian. You gotta go. You know. So
It's definitely going to lead to some interesting things to happen to counteract that. It
yeah,
also sounds like that they're also kind of standardizing some of these feats, like with like you said the rage points that are out there. It sounds very much like you said the key points and the what is it sorcery points that you
yeah,
get.
yeah.
So now the barbarian gets thrown into that mix as well.
Right. Because now
So
you're. I don't know.
that'll be interesting.
It's gonna be weird. I want to run this. Um, I'm reading through it because I want to run it.
Yeah.
To see what would happen. Like, and I want to run it at like a high level, just to
Hmm.
see what would happen, and what I would have to do to counter to counter this because all I keep thinking because me as a player, if I was a level 14 barbarian, my thinking, and I know no GM's gonna let me do this. It's going. I'm within 30 feet of myself. I can revive myself. You can't tell me otherwise. Bite me. You know, that's that's how I think. So, I would love to see. Hello, welcome in, Moon Stars. How are you? Thank you for coming in. I would love to see like what players would do. Oh my God, Dirty Saint, how are you? Um, I would love to see what my players would do with this new rule set because it is absolute insanity. Like so, But I would love to ask you, and if you've been lurking for a while and you want to ask Justin any questions, now is the time. Put them in chat right now. In the meantime, I'm going to ask Justin, um, what can we expect from you in the future for all the streams that you are doing, um, post Crit Award nominee, all the stuff that you're going to do? What can we expect from you in the future in the next few months going forward?
Well, it's still not stopping. It's it's not slowing down. For the most part, I am going to try and do a little bit less streaming on the weekends
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of devote that more to family time. But there are people that I will make that exception for, and they don't know who they are. And if you don't know, it never hurts to ask. And I'll tell you, like, maybe, maybe not. We'll see.
Right.
It'll depend. But for the most part, I'm looking to just like uh continue to keep things up. Um I'm working with Dennis the OKSDM, the creator of
Mm.
Sagas, in running a 4-part miniseries, Call of Cthulhu game,
Mm.
uh coming up in October. So that's what's coming up. In addition to that, I don't think I can talk about that one yet. Um
I love when you get to
but
a point in your career, it's like, oh nope, can't talk about that yet. Ooh, no,
yeah.
there's an NDA on that one too.
Oh, well, thankfully, no NDMs at that point. It's more just we haven't done the full scheduling for
Mm-hmm.
October yet. But I am looking to play I'm looking to play the Worst Days indie TTRPG again. It's a horror themed one, but it's focused more on bringing your players in, dealing with day-to-day life, and
Mm-hmm.
then by the time they realize that they're in some horror in within the whole whatever horror entity is out to get them, it's already too late, and it's there.
Oh crap! Oh my god!
Uh, yeah, it's
Oh,
I played it in July over at Roll D5, so I'm hoping to play it again here in the near
that would
future.
be so much fun.
And then I'm pretty sure there's more. Like I said, there is uh there is somebody's heroes, where I'm playing a character for things that are going on in that world. So
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be fun. I'm going to keep things as big as possible because we have not started yet, and last thing I want to do is spoil things. So, especially since I think Eric's still in the chat. If you are, shout out to you, Eric, for bringing everything in, for bringing me into this and bringing everybody else who's going to be a part of this project. So I look forward to that. And yeah, those are the big ones. Also, I'm going to be over at PAX U later on this year.
Me
So don't be afraid to
too.
catch me there. We
We're
definitely
gonna
got to meet
definitely
up.
gonna hook up at PAX U. Um,
Yes.
oh my god, now I'm excited. Okay, yay! That makes me
Uh,
happy.
and y- yeah, that's what is it? Those are the big things that I can think of so far. Caston will be coming back at some point within the next couple of months, so I look
Mm-hmm.
forward to jumping back into my character Luciano, for that. And then if there's any other TTRPGs, anybody else that wants to play a game with me, I'm more than happy to figure out like a time period. Which I have to ask Sam, how many horror games have you been a part of? Have you had any interest of it? Forgive me if you have and I've not seen it yet.
I have
What
not been any horror games. I have, so it's just been recently where I've been asked to do some actual plays. I just finished a 4-part episode miniseries on so you want to be a GM channel with Justin, who they
Yeah,
GM'd a great game that was so much fun, um, and that was more of like a college comedy thing. And I've done a couple test plays on other people's channels, which is amazing. It's so much fun, but have not done horror. I would love to do horror because I am easily terrified. Like you can scare me so easily, not by like jump scaring, but like movies and gameplay and like describing things that are terrifying. I am genuinely scared, and because I am genuinely scared, my character is usually genuinely scared. I'm usually like, I want to go home now, but totally, I
I
have enough. I would love to do that stuff.
It's like I don't want to do this anymore. Please let me go.
I promise. I think it would be so much fun. Just because I think it's a lot of fun to like watch characters develop through that trauma. So it just seems
Oh,
like the best time.
absolutely. I remember earlier this year I ran a private game for a couple creators, and it was it we had a blast being able just to sit back and relax. Which, by the way, it's there's just something different when you bring in creators for a game that is not actually being performed in front of a live audience for.
Yes, yes,
The vibe is amazing. It's definitely more relaxed, and I think all of us as creators need that time to just like play and remember
yeah.
why we initially started doing this in the
Yeah,
first
I got to do that last week with Robert Hartley in a
place. Ooh,
private game. It was so much fun, and I was just like, and I'm so glad I did it because I wasn't going to. So I'm
that's
definitely glad I did it. It just made like it was like I actually needed that game. Holy crap, you know.
oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
We all need games like that, and also, um, there's there are just funny things that you can that will happen that like it would be cool to have seen, but it's also cool to be able to say I remember watching that live in person.
Yes, yes.
For example, there's one bit, and if he sees this, I am okay with him shooting me a message saying why are you telling people my business, but it we what is it? I brought these folks into an empty house in the 1970s. The only thing that was on was the television, and it was
Mm.
static. So nothing was going on. Everything was dark. The only thing that was on was the TV, and it was static. And I had mentioned that there was voices that they were kind of hearing and whatnot. And so he decides that he's going to bring out his pistol and put himself towards, with the wall against his back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's cool. You can do that, buddy. Hey. And then I said, you feel a tap on your shoulder and you hear a child's voice saying, tag, you're it. And he was
Oh
like,
no,
nope, I'm
pineapples.
out.
Nope.
I'm out. Same reaction.
Nope, nope. I'm going home. Like,
Yep.
nope. Where's the door? Where's the door? Where's the door? Like, you can't get out. Yeah. Like, yeah, yeah. I would have the same reaction. I'd be like, nope, nope, don't like
I,
that.
I died laughing. That was a hilarious moment, and it's also rewarding as a GM seeing reactions like that,
Yes, yes.
especially not in front of a camera, where it's like I've done my part as a GM where I have people immersed in the world enough that something like that where we're all in the comfort of our home, lights are on, and that still caused that reaction. And so that really made me that made me feel good. Also, it made all of us laugh. So I
Which is
you
always
can't
the
beat
goal.
moments like that.
That's always the goal. Make everyone laugh at the table is always the goal. I love it. Oh, that's
Yes.
amazing. Okay, so I always ask my guests, if no one else has any questions in chat, but I always ask my guests to guide the raid if you are familiar with Twitch. So while you look for who we are raiding into, I'm going to let you guys know what we will be doing for the next few days, and what we can expect as soon as I pull up my calendar and find it, which I should have had it up, but I always seem slightly unprepared, like me. Um, Okay, so Justin was an amazing guest, but tomorrow we have Mindari coming on the channel. Super excited about that. Um, a perfect example of why you shouldn't DM people on things that they don't read. The day after that, on Monday, I will be on Epic Realms channel where I will be interviewed for the first time, who I've never been interviewed before. It's freaking me out. Still excited to do it though. So
You're
check
doing
out.
amazing.
I'll thank you. I'll thank you. Check out Epic Realms here on Twitch. We will be on at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, finally, finally, after two full starts, we will have Devin Chulik from Start Playing Games, the co-founder of Start Playing Games, on this channel at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come by, ask him all the questions you can within an hour, and we will totally bombard them with stuff. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I cannot wait. Super excited. They've been so gracious and kind to be on this channel, so I cannot wait. So tell me, Justin, where are we rating out to?
Oh, um, well, what is it? Mika over at the OKS GM is looks like he's about to hop on. So, yeah, it looks like he's just starting right now. So, if that's okay, we
That's
can
perfectly fine. Can you drop their channel name in the Discord that you and I are on? And I'll grab it from
absolutely.
there. So, guys, check us out tomorrow. Mandari is going to be on here tomorrow. Please check out Justin's channel on Instagram, definitely on TikTok, also on all the other channels that he has been on because he plays a lot of game, specifically on Roll D5, who I will be sending a DM to. So,
Please do.
yeah, I can't wait to talk to them as well. Guys, as always, we are going over to the OKSDM. Super excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Check them out. See if you enjoy their content. If you do, please give them a follow. Tell them hi. Tap all the raid stuff if you have raid. It doesn't have to be raids from my channel, but raids from anywhere. And as always, it's better to be kind than to be nice. If you can't be good, please be careful. Bye. See you guys later. And we are out. Also, let me give a quick hi.
And Sam, also
Mm-hmm.
extending offer. If you ever need a horror game ran, let me know. I'm more than happy
I
to
would
run
totally
one
love that. I would love to do
whenever.
that. I would love to do that. I was actually talking about this yesterday that I want to expand the stuff that I do on this channel. I was asking people if what they wanted to see from me and from this channel. A lot of people are like, we want to see you actually more actual plays, which would be cool.
Mhm,
Um, people, I GM privately, in
mhm.
person. I have not. I've attempted one time and one time only to do.